You are listening to the Knightline Sports Network, brought to you by Travis Dever and the Dever team, 386-690-1636.
Knightline is brought to you by the Dever team, your source for New Smyrna Beach real estate and everything else New Smyrna Beach. Go to www.thedeverteam.com and call UCF alumni Travis Dever for all your New Smyrna Beach needs. 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636.
Welcome to UCF Knightline, your source for UCF sports and former player information.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the 1148 studios, and this is Knightline 262 from the award-winning Knightline Sports Network. Joining me as always,
Roger Phipps, and on this week's show, the Smurf Turf Ponies go home blue. BCU is on deck. Big 12, baby. It's happening. Your questions in Ask Knightline. Kyle joins us inside the huddle. The Tijuana Flats hot take of the week, and news and notes.
All right, Kyle Israel joining us back tonight, which is cool. Haven't talked to him in a while, so we'll hear that in just a little while. Quite the game the other night. Quite an experience the game was, which was really cool in my opinion. Just the whole thing was, you know, the start to college football. There always has to be something weird with UCF and the start of college
Weather
football.
related.
Yeah, hurricanes, and now we have a rain delay that's 2.5 hours long, or maybe even longer than that. I don't even remember how long it was, but I know that the game didn't start till 9:45 and all that stuff. So quite a lot of time to drink, which I didn't think that there was going to be. So that, you know.
Well, at least you made it in. There were a lot of folks that didn't. There were streams of people that were leaving, and you know what? I was one of them. Unfortunately, I had some commitments from a family perspective. As I told you guys, I was bringing my kids, but I could only stay till halftime, and unfortunately, it went past halftime. So I tried to come back, but at the time, Mark had finally given up. I was listening to the radio show for information, and he'd finally given up and said, we don't know when this thing's going to start. And then they started at 9:45, but by that time I was already home. So it was a little bit of a mess at the Cabana Gates. Both Andrew and I were both there.
I didn't see you. This is the weirdest thing. I don't believe you because I didn't see you.
Well, ask Travis if he remembers. I was there, chatted with him for a little bit. Which was great to see him again. And this is the thing. We've got football back. We've got everybody back. You're seeing your friends again. It's amazing. I am looking forward to being able to tailgate this weekend with you guys, as we'll have a 7 o'clock Saturday kick as opposed to a Thursday night kick.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, let's get into Ask Knightline. There's some interesting questions, so here we go. Ask a Knightline is brought to you by Chad Barr Law. Chad is a UCF alumnus and diehard Knights fan. Chad Barr Law handles auto accident, slip and fall, and personal injury cases. Call Chad today at 407-599-9036 for a free consultation. That's 407-599-9036. Armor up and call Chad Barr Law today. Alrighty, Ask Knightline on Twitter. You guys gave us quite a few questions again. There was more of a conversation on there than questions. There were some questions, but then it turned into a conversation on there. So I'm looking at it now. The first one I remember coming in earlier today, first question that came in was, how many times is AP going to tell us he told us so about Bowser? He says, LOL, I'm going to say 11. And then he goes on to say, I agreed with him, by the way. Yeah, you're right. I'm going to say, I told you so. Man, Bowser did a great job. Unbelievable. It was kind of what I expected to see from him. Just pounded the ball. If you ever can go back and see the Big Ten championship game where he played in the Big 12 or Big Ten championship, he just like tore it up, and I believe that was the reason that Northwestern was there anyway. So just for him to get the chance, being healthy, and for us to see a healthy Isaiah Bowser was pretty cool. And 172 yards, 200 and something yards, all-purpose catching passes as well. Just an unbelievable performance from him, and I'm happy that he made me right.
Well, let me put it to you this way: if we keep getting performances out of players that you're right on, I just keep saying I told you so, because I just want to keep seeing those. By the way, who was the Twitter handle that sent that one in?
Oh, yeah, sorry. UCF Guy 23. UCF Guy 23. Sorry about that. You're right.
Yeah, he interacts with us quite a bit, and we appreciate the back and forth, so thank you for sending that in.
Absolutely. All right, Tony Cummings, UCF 356 now. He changed his handle. I think that was the guy that was Tony C or something like that. Anyway, did you expect Tulane to be a tough opponent, or do you expect Tulane to be a tough opponent for UCF? Almost beat OU. Tulane is, man, I mean, I was rooting for them hard during that game against OU. Their quarterback is tough. I mean, he's one of the toughest guys out there. That guy got targeting penalties against him. I mean, not against him, but
perpetrated against
him. Yeah, that's a good word. And everything else. Got his helmet ripped off numerous times, had a bloody nose or a bloody lip at some point. One time I didn't think he was getting up, and he did. And, I mean, a couple times, actually, after that, didn't think he was getting up. So, yeah, I think Tulane's going to be a lot more tough than they have been in the past. I think they're a good football team. I mean, they literally, if it wasn't for a couple of calls that went the way of OU, they would have won that game. Spencer Rattler did not have a good game, and the OU defense is nothing compared to what they were thought of. So, yeah, I feel like they are going to be more of a challenge for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, it all depends on what defense we continue to see from UCF. I will say this. I was very impressed. But again, Big 12 is not known for its defenses, and Oklahoma certainly didn't show much of one. In my opinion, that game was stolen from Tulane as it was, just simply because of that phantom PI call at the end there on that interception. But will they be a tough game? Yeah, I think they will be a tough game because they can produce points. Now, if we get pressure like we're capable of and showed against Boise State, I think we put them away, but I think they'll still keep it within 10.
All right, another one from Tony. Tony has like 4 questions here today, which is perfectly fine. That's good. What are your thoughts on Nakai Martinez being injured for his remaining high school season? He has a torn meniscus and will be out 5 months. Good that it happened now, I guess. I would rather, him get that all rehabbed and all that stuff. Never good that somebody has a torn meniscus. I actually currently have one. I've had one for years. But I could not play football on my knee as it is right now. So he definitely needs to get that fixed. It's a bummer for him in his final high school season that happened to him. But, like I say, I think it's a little bit better that he gets it out of the way now, and hopefully he'll be healthy when it's time to play college football.
Yeah, I agree. If it was going to happen, it happening earlier in the season is good for us in his college career because it gives him that much more time to get it rehabbed. But yeah, at the end of the day, sad for him. Never want to see a kid get hurt. But ultimately, I think he'll be just fine. He's a great talent, and with the way surgeries go these days, folks can come back from that sometimes even stronger. So best wishes to him, and I think we'll be all right.
All righty. Well, I'm going to skip away from one of Tony's questions because I want to group some questions together later. UCF Selena asks, or comments and then asks, Thursday/Friday was a crazy game. What are your top 5 UCF crazy wins? Does Boise make the cut? These are mine. UCF versus UCF UCF versus USF. That's bad.
Cows.
Well, at least I called them the right way. 2017, UCF versus Memphis. 2017, UCF versus Louisville. 2013, UCF versus Boise 21. UCF versus Temple 2013. I'm going to go back a little bit farther. And I think it was either 2010 or 2011, probably, that Marshall game. That the monsoon game, for those that were around and remember that one. This it kind of literally was going through my head, and I was talking to my little group that I was with during the delay the other day, and I was like, man, that monsoon game, it rained like hell. It just rained and rained and rained. I was soaked head to toe during that game, but it's one of my favorite game experiences at UCF, just because it was just crazy. There was no point in not trying to get wet after I was trying. I was wearing a raincoat that wasn't really a raincoat, I guess. I thought it was waterproof. It didn't turn out to be. And then we were soaked head to toe. I mean, there was no part of my body that was not wet at that, at the end of that game. And it was the ones that stuck it out and were there, was not too many, but it was just a great experience. And I don't even remember if we won the game or lost the game.
We won.
Or whatever. Did we? It was crazy. So that's my number one. I would agree with you on a couple of your other ones, though, just because, those were pretty crazy games. That 2017 Black Friday game was insane. The Memphis one right before that, or right after that, was insane. Louisville was one with a catch at the end of it. Boise was this one, and then you were talking about Temple 2013, and I think that was the J.J. Warden
correct
one-handed catch. So I mean, I'll agree with you, but I definitely think that the monsoon game is up there in mine for sure. Roger, you may have some different ones.
I'd like to add for consideration the ECU game. When we kept that going, and there go the cannons. That game, I loved that one. And then our first win against the Cows, where we were expected to absolutely stomp them, and then we went through the game and we had a bunch of mistakes. We had a fumble off of one of our linemen. I think it was Richie Grant, or not Richie Grant, the other Grant, the offensive lineman.
Joey
Grant. It was off of Joey Grant. It was just improbable things that were happening, and we were there late, and then Jordan Osrights came up with a pick when they were driving, and then Brashad Perriman caught that pass from Blake Bortles. It was like a 40-yard pass for the go-ahead touchdown. So I during that game, before the pick, all they had to do was really run out the clock, and that was a game we should have won, but it's one that we weren't winning, and so for me, those two would definitely be in consideration. I mean, that ECU game was absolutely nuts. The Hail Mary, that was like a minute and 15, 20 seconds left. I was yelling and throwing things and angry, and then we caught the Hail Pyramid. So it's so difficult. I would say that I'd definitely go with the 2017 win versus the Cows. I would include the ECU win. The Wharton catch, I really didn't think this game against Boise State at the beginning. I thought it was definitely a loss, but towards the end of the game, or towards the middle of the game, when we really started putting it on them, I thought we were going to win the game. So it wasn't as much of a surprise. That ECU game just completely floored me, and it was just like last second he catches the ball on a Hail Mary. That one, and how electric it was in 2017 for that Cow game was definitely my top two.
Okay, cool. All right, Selena also has another question / comment that I want to address here. Bowser wasn't even projected to start in the beginning. How the heck do these other guys? What the heck do these other guys play like? ? ! ! ! ! ! ! ! ! So Yeah, he wasn't. It kind of came down to it where he was just the guy that was healthy, and he made the most of it. Though I really think that was the thing. He was healthy for the first time in a long time, and I think that I'm just a person that think that things happen for a reason. And I think maybe he was on the winning side of one of those things that happens for a reason. Personally. I knew from the time, and I'm going to say it again, I told you, I knew from the time that I saw him picked up by UCF that something special would happen with him, and that's why I talked about him the most, just because I remember what he did at Northwestern when he was a freshman. So I think it's awesome for him. I'm going to play a clip here real quick. Here's what Isaiah Bowser had to say about all this.
It feels amazing. I have battled a lot of adversity the past couple of years with injuries. I always, want to come back stronger and better. I thought it was a great opportunity after I graduated, to transfer to a great school like this. And I'm just blessed to be here. I wouldn't say I anticipate that many carries. I knew I was, going to have a decent workload going into the game. And get a majority of the reps. I didn't know if we were going to run the ball a lot, pass the ball a lot. It's all in coach's hands. But I'm happy with the win. Lauren was really getting after, those guys in the second half. They did a great job the whole game, especially in the second half. Like you said, I think they got a little tired at the end. I think it was a great atmosphere, especially, like you said, sticking around for 2.5 hours or whatever it was. I was surprised to see that many fans stay around, so big ups to them. We really appreciate them being here, getting us through, all the adversities, and they helped a lot. So really appreciate them sticking around and helping us get that win.
All righty. Well, those were a couple of clips there from his press conference. I didn't want to do a ton of stuff, but I just made a couple things like that with a bunch of clips. So, I don't know what these other guys play like. That's the thing. I don't think any of us know what these other guys were playing like. I know that Mark Anthony Richards was supposed to be at one point the projected starter. We all kind of thought that he would take over, but he's been kind of still beat up. So has some kind of nagging injury. Did we see him at all? Did he? I didn't even see him on the side. I didn't really look on the sideline, I guess, for people. I was too into the game to just with the way that everything came down to really be even looking over there very much. So didn't see if he was dressed or whatever. But like I said, things happen for a reason. And I think that the reason was Isaiah Bowser's. So it's awesome. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Now I'm going to get into this other series of questions that have to do with the Big 12. First of all, Poolman Mike, Friedman Sr., I think is Friedman Sr., at Friedman Sr., but it's Poolman Mike. Assuming UCF and Kansas wind up in the same conference, who does AP root for when we square off? I just hope everyone has fun, root for the home team, or do you divide the schools up by sport? This is a thing, and we're going to talk a lot more about this. I've been talking to Ben and Roger the last few days since this whole Big 12 thing came up. I kind of like cringed or when I heard this whole thing. And I've always wanted obviously UCF to go to a Power 5 conference and to excel like I know that they will there. They've obviously earned the opportunity, blah, blah, blah. But my alma mater is in the Big 12, obviously, Kansas. Haven't been the greatest at football for a couple years, probably the last 10 years, maybe more. I think 2008 was the last time we were good, so it's been a few. But I still root for them. I always watch the games. I still root. It's my alma mater. I fell in love with UCF because my alma mater was so far away and this was a lot closer, So, and they were in a different conference, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going anywhere as far as UCF goes. I mean, I'm not straying away from UCF in any way, but it's just, it will be extremely a difficult thing for me to deal with when they start playing each other in sports. Anybody that maybe came into the UCF, family from someplace else or whatever, you still have your alma mater. Your alma mater is always your alma mater. It just never goes away. So it's going to be difficult. I'm going to have to figure it out. I'm going to have to figure out what to do. I will definitely go to a Kansas UCF football game one of these days, either here or there. Definitely there if I can, and obviously here. It's going to be rough, though. It'll be rough for me. So, this is kind of one of the sports fans' worst nightmares when the two teams that you love have to play each other. So the past few weeks we were talking to Chase, and he's a Boise fan, but he went to UCF. So, you could tell that it was difficult for him, even though he was making fun of it. It was more difficult for him than he really alluded to. So it just puts me in a weird spot, and I hope that maybe KU wants to move into a different conference or something. That would be even
well, they
better.
definitely want to.
I know. If they get a Big Ten chance, and that was the thing. I wanted UCF. I really was pulling for UCF to get a spot in the Big Ten or the ACC. I mean, that's really the Big Ten was the one that I wanted. I'm still not completely sold on this Big 12 thing. Just with as much as I know about the Big 8 that it was before, the Big 12 that it is now. I've been around that conference my entire life, and it's been extremely unstable. So we'll get into a lot of this later, but somehow, man, I was telling Ben and Roger after we did the radio show, we were kind of talking about this, and I'm excited for Kansas and UCF. I'm excited for UCF to be able to go to the Allen Fieldhouse and play basketball. I'm excited for our players. But if I was to go see a game there, I don't think that I could walk in there with a UCF jersey on. It's my alma mater. It's like sacred ground. I mean, that is like one of the basketball arenas, period. It would be very, very difficult for me. I may have to wear like a Kansas shirt or Kansas jersey and have a UCF hat on or something, or something like that. I may have to get a split jersey. Maybe I'll get I'll
House divided.
Maybe I'll cut two of them in half. I might have to do that, a football jersey or something, for when that happens. One on the front and one on the back, or whatever. So. I never wanted this happen, but I am extremely, extremely excited for UCF, and I can't wait for all this to happen. I just those games against Kansas are gonna be rough, and we were talking maybe I'll recuse myself from Knightline that week. That there is UCF Kansas stuff. Anytime there's UCF Kansas stuff, I'll just let Ben and Roger run the show or something, and I'll just go hide in the corner or something. I don't. It's just, I love both schools. I don't think I could ever turn my back on my alma mater though. And
you played there.
That's the other being thing. A fan and being a player or whatever. It's just different. So I'm gonna have to figure it out. Like it's been tugging at the mind and the heartstrings for sure. It's going to make it difficult. Okay. There was other Big 12 questions, but I wanted to explain that one first. Who do you expect UCF? What division, I guess, do you expect UCF to play in? This was from Tony as well. Tony C. Well, I mean, if it's East and West, it's definitely going to be East teams. I would assume like UCF, West Virginia, Cincinnati. I don't know I think Houston would probably be in that West, although it could be in the East if looking at it on a map, because he put a map here on the Twitter question. Iowa State could be in the East because they're a little bit farther east than the other schools. I would assume KU could be in that as well, and this is where, I mean, the same division, not only the same conference, but the same division. That would be horrible for me. Hopefully maybe they'll do a North and a South or something, because then it would be Iowa State, Cincinnati, West Virginia, Kansas State, Kansas, possibly Oklahoma State. I'm forgetting about BYU as well. So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're missing one in there, I think. I don't know. Hopefully it's North and South. I would like that better. You could put one of the Kansas schools in the North probably then. I don't know. Hopefully it's North and South, and then we can avoid. Hopefully my Jayhawks will be in the North, and my Knights will be in the South. That would be much better, because I don't think we would be facing each other in a football championship game anytime soon. So
why is that?
Because my Jayhawks suck in football. Basketball, another story. I think y'all, when you have a chance to travel, you're going to love Kansas City. By the way, I don't know about any of the other places. I know Iowa State being in Ames is not, I think they're in Ames, not exciting. I think Manhattan, Kansas is cute. I think Lawrence, Kansas is awesome, personally. It's just a small town. Manhattan, Kansas is another small town. Oklahoma State, where they're at, is not exciting. The entire state of Oklahoma could fall off into the ocean or whatever, and I wouldn't really care personally. But cool places in Texas too. I don't know about the places where the universities are, if that's
Lubbock
too
sucks.
exciting. Yeah, Lubbock, that's not exciting. Provo, Utah is not exciting either, personally.
It is nice. They have the mountains back there and all that
Well,
other
yeah,
stuff.
it's
So there's
nice.
stuff to do like that. Like Lubbock has nothing but dust and tumbleweeds.
Yeah. Kansas City is an hour east of Lawrence, though, and 2 hours east of Manhattan, Kansas, where K-State is, though. And there are things to do. Kansas City is a big town. It's much bigger than people think it is. It's more population than Orlando, or at the last thing that I saw anyway. Might be close now with Orlando getting the boom that it is, but yeah, if you have a chance to go to Kansas City, and the basketball tournament is normally held there as well, and then when they have their championship games, some of them have been held at Arrowhead Stadium for football, and some of them have been held in Dallas, I believe, at the Cowboys Stadium. So it'll be one of those two places. But a lot of Big 12 championship games have been at Arrowhead Stadium, where the Chiefs play. And then the basketball arena in Kansas City is where the Big 12 basketball tournament normally is. So you will definitely, those of you that want to travel will definitely get to Kansas City at some point. So I'm excited about that.
All right. So for me, I'm going to guess they're going to go with an East-West configuration just to keep certain schools together. That being said, no matter what, BYU is kind of an outlier because we do have Cincinnati and West Virginia in the eastern side, and we have southern schools. So if we do an East-West configuration, BYU's way out there. If you do a North-South, either way, it's not going to negatively impact UCF one way or the other. That being said, I mean, I'd much rather be in a conference and East-West configuration just so I could be with Cincinnati and West Virginia. I'd like to have them on the schedule regularly. That's just a personal preference. Outside of that, the connection, like I have no connection with OSU. Texas Tech can be fun. No connection. The only reason I'd want to play OSU regularly is because they seem to be the top of what's left, them and TCU. So I'd like to play Cincinnati, West Virginia, and TCU those are the three schools I'm interested in playing regularly. So an East-West configuration would work best for that.
Yeah, it's always been a North-South thing, so I'm not sure how they're going to do that because we've never really had schools this far east.
It's kind
besides
of been like
West
the
Virginia,
Mississippi.
so.
There, that the spine of the country. It's always been kind of centered around that.
Well, yeah, but it's Big 12 has always been north and south.
That's what I mean. It goes along the spine of the Mississippi, really.
The Mississippi goes north and south, though.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So anyway, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that would... Yeah, okay. So, whatever. We'll see how it all plays out. I don't know. Hopefully... I really don't... If UCF and Kansas have to be in the same conference, my God... Just don't make it where they're in the same division. That would be...
I doubt it will happen.
I'm going to lobby whoever I know at the Big 12. I got to find some people. But obviously, I'm so horribly excited, though. This is awesome that it's happening, finally. We'll talk a lot about that later. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. There was a lot of conversation in here, so I don't see too many more questions in there. But thank you very much for asking questions. Yeah, so cool. Good for you guys on that. We're going to take a little bit of a break here, and we'll be right back on Knightline. I almost said Knightline at night because I'm used to saying that.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else, New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Knightline. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
An auto accident can change your life forever. At Chad Barr Law, we are raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Hi, I'm Chad Barr, and I want you to know that our entire team is dedicated to providing you with the representation you deserve in your greatest time of need. If you or a loved one have been injured in an auto accident, call 407-599-9036 for a free consultation or visit chadbarlaw.com. At Chad Barr Law, our clients come to us in need and leave as family. Offices, Altamont Springs.
Looking for more out of your Porsche? Look no further than Flat6Motorsports.com. They have the widest selection of aftermarket Porsche parts anywhere in the world. With over 85 product lines and in-depth expertise, Flat6Motorsports.com is your one-stop shop for any Porsche performance needs. Whether you're shopping for intakes, exhausts, suspension, or tuning, they have you covered. Flat6Motorsports.com is the premier Porsche aftermarket specialist. Check them out at Flat6Motorsports.com. All right, Roger, let's get into talking about this game. Man, what a game it was. Let's start off by hearing Gus Malzahn and his opening statement after the game.
Real proud of our team. Didn't look good at the first. I think we got down 21-0. Didn't look good. I think we were down 24-7. They had the ball. Playing at home, there's a lot more pressure on the team than playing on the road. Our guys fought, and we beat a good team. I mean, that's a top 25 team. You'll see them. They'll win a lot of football games. And our guys came and they made plays. Defense stood up when they had to. Offense did the same thing. We made some mistakes. A lot of them are correctable. I think we'll have a chance to be a pretty good team. I really do. That's what I told our guys. And couldn't be more proud. I mean, the way you win games, it means a lot for your team in the future. I'm just proud of our team. We got a chance to be pretty good.
All righty. Win number one for Gus Malzahn in his UCF era. Pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I mean, look, this was billed as the battle of the non-autonomous 5 brands. Boise, we talked about this, has been an established brand. They've been what we became, and so now UCF has been building that national brand, that challenger brand, and we had an opportunity to play them. They're looked at as a top flight school, even though they're not in the Power 5. This was going to be a big test for us, and it was the first game out. Not to mention the fact that this was, Gus, but it was viewed by the college football world as a game to watch. So super exciting to participate in that and watch it. And it was a great game. It was full of emotion, and I think it was a good lesson for our guys in learning how to overcome adversity. It's very hard to stare down a team when you're down 21-0 in the first half and don't score. Nothing seems to be going right. You're coming off of a lightning delay that was 2 hours and 45 minutes, and now you've got to go out there and play this big game in front of a nationwide audience. So, I think this was the first big test where Dylan was able to overcome and bring the team back, and I think it's a solid win for them.
Yeah, I'm going to stray away from that just a little bit, talking about the game. I do want to say that Boise traveled really well, even for the delay and everything else. Their fans obviously stuck around for the most part. Some, I'm sure, went back to their hotels or whatever. This guy from... I'm trying to find his Twitter profile now. KTVB in Boise did a great job. TV reporter. I don't know if you saw his stadium
the
thing.
Stadium and then the one at the
talked about our national championship, which he basically agreed with. Anyway, a TV Boise guy did a great job. I tried to get him on tonight. And I did not hear anything until like now, and it's kind of too late because we've already started the show. We would have done the interview earlier, but he did a great job, and they almost treated this as a bowl game or something. It was crazy. They had, TV news reporters, and they were doing, there's not a lot of news in Boise anyway, but they were doing special things, like they would have been doing at a bowl game or something. And he did an awesome job. So if he listens to this, great job. And I told him that. He's actually currently texting me something. But, he said maybe next time in 2 years. So we have to go there at some point, too. So hopefully our group travels as well as they did here, which I'm sure we will. So nice people for the most part. I only had a run-in with one of them, and I think that was because I was making his wife and his mother-in-law laugh in the line. I was talking to them, and they were giggling, and he wasn't happy. He called me annoying, which isn't the first time. This is nothing new. That's what I told him. I go, really? This is nothing new, dude. Everybody calls me freaking annoying. It's all good. Just relax. Dude, you're here for a football game. Have fun. He was just like, Urgh.
Well, let's talk about experience a little bit. So it was a little tough with the lightning delay. I mean, both Andrew and I were kind of stuck outside the gate at the cabana. Definite opportunity for UCF. I couldn't for the life of me understand why they had opened up the gates, they'd let a bunch of people in that got there early, but then they shut the gates, and you literally had thousands of people that were standing outside the gate waiting to get in. Then they opened them again and let a few people in, and then shut them again. So to me, if you're concerned about safety, one, I don't know about you, Andrew, but I could not hear any of the announcements they may or may have not been making over the PA. On top of that, the UCF Knights Twitter account was posting information, I found out later, but I was looking at the UCF football Twitter account, which was not posting any information. So, definite opportunity there. There were some frustrated people. I know I was a little frustrated. I was tweeting at people. If you guys follow me on Twitter, just asking why. Where's the communication? What's going on? Because we could not hear any of the PA announcements at all at the Cabana Gate. I don't know why that is, but because I heard them when I was walking towards the stadium, they were talking on the PA, and I could hear it loud as clear as day. But when I got right up next up to the stadium, I couldn't hear a thing. So it was a little frustrating.
Well, I don't know. It was what it was. I was so drunk that it didn't really matter anyway, to be honest with you. I was just like, let's just go back to the bus and drink some more. It's all good. We had a blast. It sucked that we couldn't get in, but it is what it is. And I'm sure that they have some kind of justification for doing it that way. I think it was kind of a debacle. And maybe that wasn't the greatest way to do it, but I still don't think that we would have been safer being inside an all-aluminum stadium versus, and even metal with the girders and all that stuff if there was a bunch of lightning. This was a lightning situation. It was not because of rain. and the NCAA has rules, and the American has rules, and UCF has rules, and everybody's got to follow their rules as far as lightning goes. And I think it's an 8-mile thing, and
it is.
So it is what it is. It was a bummer for sure, but it didn't really bother me that much. I was having a blast either way. So I think it did kind of throw some people off with the game. It definitely made the players, wait quite a bit longer, not just the fans. A bunch of them spoke about it in their press conferences. Here's what Gus had to say about it.
I mean, it just kept going 20 minutes more, 30 minutes more, and you're kind of going, wow. So our guys, we just kind of relaxed in there. And, and then once we got out there, it was kind of regular game routine. The crowd was unbelievable, man. Really appreciate the crowd. They really helped us and willed us to win.
All right, and the other thing that I will say is every single player that came up there and Coach Malzahn all spoke very highly of the fans, which I thought was super cool because it did take a lot to stick it out. I think at one point, we were thinking about going home as well, but luckily I heard from the softball lot where we were tailgating. I heard something from the PA saying 9:45, so I started running at that point. I left everybody behind me. I was in the seats before anybody else was, just because I heard that. I'm like 9:45. I was yelling back as I was running. So
stumbling?
No, I wasn't stumbling too much. I was good. By the time I ran back to the stadium and all that stuff, I was totally good.
Okay.
I worked all that. Once my heart got going, it ran the alcohol out pretty quick.
Well, I can tell you, from someone who did not stay for the reasons, my kids and school night and yada, yada, yada. Anyway, I watched it on TV, and those that did stay and came back into the stadium, one, surprised the holy heck out of me. Number two, UCF sent out a bat signal basically to the students and said, don't worry about tickets, get your butts back to the stadium,
was awesome.
And we'll let you in. So that was a definite win.
When I saw that, I was like, okay,
yeah,
this is awesome that they did that.
Yeah, so I thought that was great. And then, just hearing it on TV and seeing the imagery on TV, I can tell you I was very impressed, and I think everybody was, including the commentators, that so many people came back in and stuck it out for this game. I mean, and hopefully it was well worth it. I'd love for Andrew to kind of walk us through his experience from inside the stadium, but from outside of it, I can tell you, it was very impressive that everybody did that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I laughed just because I was probably still a little bit drunk, so which is fine. I mean, I have a blast at games, so a lot of times I don't remember the first freaking quarter anyway. So I do remember it, though. I remember being really mad, and I was sitting in the cabana. We have tickets there with Travis in the sixth row of the cabana, and after the first interception and then a couple other things not going well, I just went all the way up to the top of the stadium and stood up there in the cabana section where that little bar is, and just kind of hung out up there and watched, just because I wanted a different view and just wanted to be by myself. So it was awesome. The crowd was great, loud. Which was, I was surprised at how many people came back as well. Students came back, everybody. So I think we did very well with that. Let's get into some of these numbers, though, and talk about what actually happened during the game. Dylan Gabriel, 25 of 37, 318 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. His longest throw being 47 yards, was sacked 3 times. Did not start off well, and here's what he had to say about the game.
Crazy game, first off, but also I wouldn't want it any other way. The goal was always, just finding a way to win. I stated that multiple times, and I'm glad we found a way to win. That's the name of the game. I know we were down 21-0, I think 24-7 at one point. Made a rough throw in the red zone. Took it to the crib, and then I think we were in 12 personnel and threw a pick to the left. And just learning experiences, but for the most part, like I said, if we find a way to win, that's all that matters.
All right. That is all that matters. In the long run, all that matters is winning and losing. So he did seem, quite, when he was talking about the interception there, he seemed kind of embarrassed, I think is why he laughed. He was not laughing about the situation. Here's what he had to say on the picks by themselves.
My dad always told me to go be a gunslinger, and what that means is whatever happened in the last drive, who cares? Whether it's a touchdown, a pick, whatever it is, go keep slinging it. That's my job is to go and, put these guys in a good position to go make plays, and they made plays. But at the same time, I made some mistakes that I got to learn from, right? And I think the two biggest things is in the red zone, got to capitalize and finish, and it turned into points. And then, my pick to the left, right, that ended up turning into points. So, for me, that's a learning process, something I got to get better at, and then, get back to the drawing board and get better.
I think the best part about the picks and stuff that he had was the way that he came out of it after. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You can throw picks like that, and there's a lot of quarterbacks, and maybe even when he was younger, would not respond so well after doing that. I mean, we've seen it a million times with opponents that we've played.
Well, it's not just him, it's the rest of the team too. So if he's starting to, get moody or down in the dumps or whatever, that affects the rest of the team. As it was, momentum was squarely in Boise's side for the first quarter, and it could very easily have gone downhill very quickly. But if you've got a strong leader in a coach, which we do, and a QB who can forget about the mistakes and be a strong leader, be cool and calm and collected. I mean, that's what we saw with Mackenzie Milton when he was successful. That's what we saw with Blake Bortles, was their ability to come out and say, you know what, we got this. Let's just chip away at it and move on. So that was super excited. Now, when he started the game, it was like, okay, how's this game gonna finish? But he finished with 164.6 QBR rating as well. So that just goes to show you how well he did. And the big thing was just not his passing arm, which we all know him for, but we're finally seeing that wrinkle that we've been calling for, which is his ability to run. So 64 yards on the ground, and he escaped a lot of different things. He was rolling and throwing while he was rolling out. And, in high school, he was a dual threat. We're finally starting to see that, and it's playing dividends for us big time in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. He talked about the hit as well that he took in the fourth quarter there when he was laying down over there for quite a while. Here's what he had to say on that.
I'm good. It's something in Hawaii, them boys hit. So something I'm used to, right? I dipped my shoulder, 2-point, had to go get it, didn't get it. But I'm gonna lay my body out on the line to go get that 2-point, because my O-line does it every single play for me. So if it's 1 2-point play, I'm gonna go and try and get it.
All right. Well, that was a scary moment, I think, for everybody being at that point in the game. And I don't blame Gus Malzahn at all for keeping him out there and even putting him back in after that if he was ready to go. We weren't in a position where we could see a backup quarterback if, we were so far ahead that we didn't need our starters out there or anything like that. So I was very happy to see him come back in because, it signaled that he wasn't hurt hardly at all. So maybe just got the wind knocked out of him or something. He did not elaborate. Nobody elaborated on what was going on over there, but I think he just got his bell rung pretty good.
Pretty good. I mean, that was his helmet. I mean, I heard it on TV. You heard the smack when the helmets were hitting together. And I can tell you this, anytime you're hit in that area of the helmet, especially anytime you're hit near the ear hole of the helmet, it makes it worse. So for him to pop up, I mean, you saw that with Jalen Robinson earlier in the game too. I mean, he got nailed right there in the ear hole. and he kind of did that fake out. He laid there on the ground for a minute. The trainers started coming out, and then he popped up. I was like, those poor trainers.
I remember laughing at that point, and then the crowd kind of reacted to that as well because we saw it. So I remember that moment.
I was like, oh my goodness, what are you doing, dude? Those poor trainers coming out there and everything. So, but yeah, listen, this to me was Dylan's coming out game. This was him showing the mental toughness and the physical toughness that we've been looking for. When you do things like that, your team tends to rally around you, and they know that you can take them through that. That confidence in your ability is what allows you to lead those teams to victories, because no undefeated season is easy. Every single game, there's going to be challenges to overcome. And if you can bond together and have that confidence in each other, it makes it that much easier to overcome it together.
Yeah, I did like that he ran for a net of 60 yards, 64 yards as well. Seeing him, get out of there and run around a little bit. We love it when our quarterbacks run, and we hate it when our quarterbacks run, obviously. Yeah. So he's learned to slide a lot better, for sure. That's definitely better. But I like the fact that he took off a couple of times, obviously 12 times. He took off, had a gain of 80 yards, but then net of 64 because of losses of 16. Averaged 5.3 on those runs, and his longest run was 23.
Well, so. and here's the thing. I mean, he at the beginning of the game, Boise played a different defense of what Gus was expecting. So they were crashing quite a bit harder. And I was watching Dylan, and it almost felt like he was holding on to the ball a half second too long when he was scanning his reads. Because again, we talk about this with Kyle, but Dylan said this offense is different because your reads are scripted, so he's got a mental checklist that he's going through. Whereas with Heupel's offense, the receivers had an option of what they were going to run once they got to a certain point. So he kind of had to wait for them, which is why he sat back in the pocket and then throw it. Well, this offensive line was getting broke down because they were stacking the box. And, when he started running and getting out of it and started rolling out, he was much more successful because I don't think he was thinking as much. And he had time for his receivers' routes to develop, for him to scan the field and go through his progressions mentally while he was moving, and then was able to throw the ball more accurately. And that was reflected in the PFF numbers, where he was way more successful when he was being blitzed. He rated an 88 out of 100 versus a 68 when he wasn't.
Okay. Well, let's hear what DG had to say on the early trouble.
Early out, just obviously with the delay, and then just feeling the game again. That's something that was new for a lot of us, just because, it's a new group, right? It's a new coaching staff, it's new us, but it was our first game. We knew there's going to be some adversity, but how we handled it was the main thing, right? 21-0. We'll look back, but how do we come back, right? How do we respond? That's the biggest thing, and I'm proud of our guys. You know what I mean? O-line, we struggled in the beginning, and that was partially my fault, with protections. But, we figured it out. We talked it through, got it right. And then likewise with the run game, started getting that going, and then making plays. That's what it does. You got to make big plays in big-time moments to, find ways to win.
All right, one more clip having to do with DG, and this is what Gus Malzahn had to say on DG's performance.
He made some unbelievable throws. He can extend plays. He's got a special gift, It's kind of unfortunate right there. We're fixed to put the game away. We got a holding penalty after he's down there, and I think it was 2nd down and 2, and ended up being 2nd and 20. And he's a real special player. He stays calm through the whole deal, and he made some unbelievable deep throw balls.
All righty. Well, that's it as far as DG goes in the clips and stuff from him. So overall, I mean, very happy with the way that he played besides the picks. If we didn't have those picks, the story would have been a lot different if Boise didn't have those picks.
It'd have been a rout.
Yeah, it would have been a complete rout. If you look at the stats don't show the score at all compared to what was going on out there. We smashed them. Really, in the long run, especially our defense, who defensive line was absolutely incredible, in my opinion. most of the game, maybe not in the beginning of the game, but once they really put their noses down and stopped the run, it was pretty insane, personally.
I agree with you on that. I mean, 572 yards versus 283. That tells you a story. 20 yards, as you mentioned, 20 yards rushing. But here's the thing that popped out to me. 29 first downs to 17 first downs. Okay? That's huge. Our third down percentage was back over 50%, which it had not been last year. Remember, we had a lot of 3-and-outs last year. If we didn't do it on first and second down when it was a passing down, that killed our drive. So third down percentage was 58% for us, which was ridiculous. We did give up 3 sacks, but in between the rushing of 255 yards, we also did that time of possession 88 plays for us, which is less than what the Heupel era was. As you remember, he was averaging around 90 offensive plays, but it was a heck of a lot better than the 67 that the Boise was running. So our defense not only did we do well on third down, we also got them off the field on third down, which had not been taking place before.
Yeah, another guy that was back this year for the defense, Kalia Davis, who didn't play all year last year.
It's not Kalia?
No, it's not Kalia or whatever you
there's
called
a new
it.
one. No, Kalia is what I usually say.
Yeah. Anyway, glad to have him back, and he had these words after the game.
Oh, it felt great, man. I feel like I didn't, I had to get my feet in the dirt, get back acclimated to the game, but I feel like I picked it up towards the end. We never thought that we were down 21. We always thought it was a 0-0 ball game. We just had to make a play. Next play, we need to win it, and the next play on forward to the end of the game. So I feel like we attacked it with a great attitude, and you see what happened. Halftime, I felt like we really, that's what really changed it, because Gus came in there and he was just he wouldn't rather us be in any other situation. He wanted us to fight back through adversity and see what we really got on the team. So I feel like that really changed. And then Coach T. Will said defenses was on us, and we stepped up and picked it up. That was love, man. I really didn't know if they were going to stay, but seeing that many people there, that just shows how crazy our fan base is, man. They really love us, and I really appreciate them.
All right. I love that the players really take note of the performance by the fans as well. I think that's awesome. This was kind of a big deal for Gus. First place that he's been in a long time besides Auburn. He's perfect in home openers. I don't know if you knew that. 10-0 in home openers, and now he is 78-38 in his career as a head coach. So those are pretty big numbers. Here's what he'd said when somebody asked him what this win meant to him.
It's real special, there's no doubt. I mean, I love our players. I love this place, man. This is a special place. The people here, our fans, our university, our president, our AD, man, we got a real chance. And that's what's fun for me. And, a night like this, just one game, but, when you get off on the right foot, because we put ourselves out there. I mean, you've heard us. We put the bar out, and, we told everybody what we're going to do. Now you got to do it. The hard part's doing it. And, we won the first game, got a chance to improve and be pretty good.
At the end of the press conference as well, somebody asked him about going to Waffle House, which I thought was pretty funny.
Still going to Waffle House?
You know what? Yeah, I may be going to Waffle House, yeah. I may be. Closest one, what is it, a mile down the road?
I thought that was awesome. Puts a little personal thing on it there at the end, which is cool. He's a funny guy. He's a very personable guy. So I think that he, in his UCF coaching debut, could not have done a better job personally.
I agree.
I loved the way that the plays were called. I think he called the game perfectly. If we had another coach, there's no way we would have won this game.
No, so. I mean, look, the reality of it is I 100% agree with that. I think if it was Heupel from last year, we lose this game, we lose it bad. I think that, the motions that he was utilizing to set up various matchups was completely different. The complexity in it, you kept the defense guessing. He played it masterfully. He got he got a couple of big plays to get them to back off of the single high coverage that they were running, and then they were back in the defenders and defensive backs back off. They were playing 2 safeties and coverage, and then we were able to run the ball with Bowser, which I'm calling B Wowzer from now, because he definitely made me a fan. I mean, Twinkle Toes could be another name, because I didn't know his fleet feet would be that good. But with the running game being established, that allowed the intermediate game to pick up, and they did a good job with that. And then again, once they dipped down on the intermediate game, then they were able to throw the ball. So he was playing cat and mouse with them the entire time with Andy Avalos. Once he figured that out. And, the big thing is with Gus, you can tell he's just, I read that article, how detailed he is in his preparation and quizzing folks and saying, if this, then what? And you saw the discipline. I mean, penalties was another thing. Yes, we had penalties again. And 3 of them were on Marcus Tatum, one of our veteran offensive linemen, which I don't know how the heck that happened. But other than that, people were lined up where they were supposed to. They didn't make mistakes. We didn't have a whole heck of a lot of penalties. It looked like a disciplined, well-oiled machine, which I appreciate considering where we've been.
Absolutely. Gus says that there are definitely some things to fix and some things that he learned about his team. Let's hear what he learned about his team first.
Golly, they're a bunch of winners. They're used to winning. We knew that when we got here. You can just tell the way that our leadership handles herself, but you never know until you get in front of the crowd and playing an opponent. And our leaders, they willed us. They willed us to win. They refused to let us lose. There was a couple of our leaders that stood up at halftime and really challenged the guys, just told them what we were going to do, and it happened. Yeah, I mean, I think the whole college football world did. I mean, that's tough to do. You get down 21-0 at home against a really good team, and just to fight back, and what you got to do to fight back, to keep believing and making plays, and you got to answer the bell again, and they just kept doing it, and you could feel it on the sideline. There wasn't any panic. Real proud of our staff. I mean, our staff did a really good job, and it was just overall, it was a really, really quality victory that will help us moving forward.
All right, and here's what he had to say on the things that need to be fixed.
Yeah, we made all kinds of mistakes out there. I mean, it was, first game, especially when you're a new coach, got a new team, we know there's going to be some things. I told our guys, I said, the key to this game is dealing with adversity. That's it. We're going to deal with adversity like champions. I mean, there's no bad body language. We're bright-eyed. We're going to be ready to keep answering the bell, and they did that. But, yeah, there's all kinds of things that we'll look on the film, and we've got to improve, and we got to correct in a hurry.
All right, how lucky we are to have Coach Malzahn compared to the last one that we had especially. You can just tell that the players play differently.
They respect him.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things. One of the parents from the team from the last couple of years kept telling me that, and I didn't totally want to believe about the players really not respecting Coach Heupel. I think we've talked about this before, but now I completely believe it and I see it. You could just tell the way that they acted out there that they totally respected him. Let's see. I want to go back a little bit and talk about Bowser some more because I told you.
That's number 14.
No, it's not. It's like 3.
No, in this episode.
Well, yeah, that's what the guy was asking. How many times am I going to say it in this episode?
Oh, okay. I thought it was just overall.
No. This episode. That's 3. Anyway, here's what Dylan had to say about Bowser, and this is one of my favorite quotes of the entire thing. It's 2 clips, I believe.
Stud. That dude can run downhill. He's not your typical, big back either. He can move. So, great game from him. I mean, he's a stud. I got nothing else. He's a real deal. Dude's a stud. I knew he was going to be a stud, but, it's just that first game, seeing it, believing it. But I don't know what he ran for. What did he run for? 33 carries. I mean, and he stayed in. That's a grinder. That's a running back. That's someone. You don't really see, running back staying in except, the top one. So all credit to that guy. He's killing it.
All right. That was cool. He definitely stayed in there. And we haven't seen any UCF running back get 30 carries for a long time. I think maybe we may have seen Greg McCrae get 30 carries one time.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought that if they were to do that more often and just give him the ball and feed him the ball, there was a game where he ran for like 200 yards or something crazy. It was his best game that he ever played.
McCrae was very talented.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. But I wish that they would have given him more carries. I've always not liked the running back by committee type thing. I've always liked it where they put one guy in there and just let him do his thing. I think running backs really, get better as the game goes on and get in their mode. And definitely I believe that with him. Here's what Gus Malzahn had to say about Bowser, and then that will be the rest of our Bowser conversation.
I don't know how many times I give it to him. 33? Yeah. It just worked that way, and they were giving us when we spread out. We were trying to press the ball down the field, and we heard them on a couple of deep ones, and then they started going two safeties, and we just felt like we needed to run the football. He made a big time play on that screen. I mean, that was one of the biggest plays of the game. It was 2nd and 15, and that was a huge play.
Now, with Gus Malzahn, I don't expect to see a running back get 30 carries every time either. Gus will give or take what they're given, basically, and that's one of the best things about him is he knows how to do that, and he's always known how to do that. So I don't think that you'll see that very often.
He's definitely not a one-trick pony. No. That's for sure.
No. All right, well, that does it for the clips for sure. What else do you want to cover as far as the game went?
A couple things. Just the defense, we didn't really talk too much about them. I mean, one of the big things was 10 tackles for a loss this game. There were 65 plays, so you're looking at about 17% of all of Boise's snaps were tackles
sacks,
for a
though.
loss.
No sacks, which was one thing that we kind of, had talked about and wished for, but they definitely pressured the quarterback.
8 QB hurries.
Yeah.
So if you take out and you say that many tackles for a loss, now you add on another 8 QB hurries, that is, you're talking about 18 out of 65 plays. That's over a third of the plays that, or just under a third of the plays, that your QB is out of sync and out of the rhythm, or it results in a tackle for a loss. That is a dominant defensive performance from our defensive line.
Absolutely. Big Cat did a great job. I was very impressed with what he did, and he was one of the guys that hurried that quarterback quite a bit. He was always in the backfield and patient with what he was doing, wasn't just running around like crazy out there. I would have loved to seen him get a sack, but he still did his job without getting a sack.
Well, I mean, that last play on the interception on the last play of the game, he's out there chasing the quarterback down and he's gaining ground on him. So he was all over the place. And he created opportunities for others. Jeremiah Jean-Baptiste was back there on QB hurries. You also had Kalia Davis back there.
I'm glad you could finally figure that out.
Well, it only took me 2.5 years. Yeah. That being said, he's not just performing himself, but he's also creating opportunities for the rest of the players around him. And he was fast. That was the thing. Like he not
Kalia?
only yeah.
Not Kalaya or whatever you were. No.
You said Kalaya.
I said that to make fun of you. Come on. Anyway, he was. I mean, he was probably in the best football shape that he's been in.
He slimmed down, and he said that in one of his interviews with the Orlando Sentinel. He was talking about the fact that he used the off season to slim down, and when he came back, he's still not quote unquote in his best football shape. But he lost about 20 pounds. So that was good for him. It obviously, the defensive tackle position did really, really well. They obviously couldn't run the ball. And then when you've got the defensive ends that crash, and here's the other thing. Tremont Morris-Brash was not able to compete in this game for a reason.
Well, we can say the reason because I think everybody knows the reason now.
Yeah, He was he was caught driving under the influence and was arrested for that, so he was not able to compete in the game. But
and we'll see what happens with him. Gus Malzahn may take this as the opportunity to make an example of somebody. So we shall see. I hope that it doesn't happen for him because I think at heart he's a good dude. He just made a mistake. Hopefully this will mellow him out and he doesn't make this mistake again. Wouldn't be the first time that this has happened with a UCF player and stuff like that. So
well, and the other thing is, when people were asked who the standout player on defense was, it was his name that kept coming up. And so I think if you have him and Big Cat in the games, that's going to be a tough night for any quarterback and running back that's trying to get the edge. So,
defensively, I was looking for a little bit more from the safeties and corners. That just wasn't and they were playing off a little bit, but still, I was looking for a little bit more from them. I think that will come as we go, just because that's such a young group. Little disappointed with that work.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that and Gus had said too that T. Will made an adjustment at the half. Right, they were playing off the ball, off the receiver by about 10 yards, gave him way too much cushion. Yeah, and Boise was taking advantage of that. Once they brought the D-line up, they started playing a little more press man, and that slowed down the progression of the plays. And, they weren't getting loose like they were before. So there were a couple of balls that were in the air and were jump balls, and they were successfully played. So there were some plays that were there. Dylan Lester, consequently, he got one play, and he got the last interception on the last play.
Well, that was a great play to come out and do it. That's the way to start for sure.
Yeah,
so.
He, very happy for him. But by and large, it was a very successful night. And personally, for me, I love the fact that we were able to play defense because that was the one part that we were missing, and it gave me a lot of confidence in what we could be going forward in the rest of the season. Receivers, I mean, if we want to touch on them real quick, Jalen Robinson, 6 receptions for 140 yards, 23.3 yards per catch, and 1 TD. Brandon Johnson, 5 catches for 47 yards, 9.4 per TD, and 1 TD. Ryan O'Keefe, 3 for 45, but he had a great kick return, 37 yards, in the only kick return duties that he had, which was pretty successful. We talked about B. Wowser, 4 for 29 for 7.3 yards per catch. Alex Holler, tight end, caught a ball.
I know, and a big one.
Yeah, had 2 catches for 29 yards.
His touchdown catch was his first reception of his career.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? So congratulations to him. And Titus, of course, had 3 catches for 19 yards, 6.3 yards per catch, and 1 TD for him as well on the year. So,
which was also the first of his career. I'm actually got the notes in my face right now, and some interesting ones. UCF has now scored at least 1 rushing touchdown and 1 passing touchdown in 50 consecutive games, a streak that leads the nation. Dylan Gabriel threw a touchdown pass to Alec Collier in the second quarter. Gabriel's 24th consecutive game with a passing touchdown, tying him with Mackenzie Milton for the second longest streak in UCF history. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Our offenses have been prolific. So the one thing, I wonder where our 30-point streak is. Do you remember what our points total was against BYU? Did that end with the BYU game?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, shucks, because that one was going for a while too, and I expect us to continue to score points. But other than that, the only thing that other thing would be Andrew Osteen. He ended up averaging, I think, 41 yards per punt.
Had a couple good ones and a couple not so good
and a couple
ones.
Really bad ones. So to average that should tell you he did pretty good.
Yeah. Isaiah Bowser rushed for 100 yards for the 5th time in his career and scored his first touchdown, obviously. Gabriel tied Blake Bortles for 5th place in UCF history with 71 career touchdowns responsible for. Gabriel hit Jalen Robinson for the 3rd quarter touchdown, Robinson's 7th career score. Robinson went over 100 yards for the 7th time in his career, which is only one shy from breaking into the UCF top 10. Some defensive notes. UCF held Boise State scoreless in the third quarter and allowed just 7 negative yards of offense in the third quarter, which is crazy. Allowed just 7 negative yards. It was the first time holding an opponent scoreless in a quarter since doing so in the third quarter against Temple on November 20th, 2020. Dylan Lester recorded his first career interception. We already talked about that. Quadric Bullard and Jeremiah Jean-Baptiste led the Knights with 9 tackles each, both career highs, and Kalia Davis recorded a career-high 3 tackles for loss, while Jean-Baptiste matched a career high with 2 tackles for loss. Those are the defensive notes. And then there is this one with Osteen. Andrew Osteen punted 6 times for 255 yards, an average of 42.5 yards per punt. He also had a long of 53 and punted 1 inside the 20-yard line. He moved into 8th all-time with 103 career punts. So punt return or kickoff return, or punt returns, I guess. Titus returned 2 punts for -3 yards, while Amari Johnson returned 1 for 12 yards, and then Johnny Richardson returned 2 kicks for 32 yards, while Ryan O'Keefe returned 1 kick for 37 yards. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't read these notes a lot, but I should probably make it a habit of, because there's good stuff in here. It marked the 27th time since the start of the 2018 season that UCF has appeared on ABC, ESPN, or ESPN2, ranking the top 10 in the nation in major network appearances during that time. And there was a 2-hour, 40-minute delay due to lightning. That's crazy. 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's a long time.
Yep.
So I don't know what the elapsed time. They usually show the elapsed time. I think that may be on the stats page itself. It was ridiculous, though, just because of the delay. So, all right, I'm still tired from then. I don't know if you are, but still tired from that game. Been a long weekend because of that.
Well, now we've got BCU to recover.
Yeah.
When not as much stress, hopefully, in that game.
Absolutely. All right, let's hear real quick from Jeff Allen. And you know that he does the AAC report on the Knightline Sports Network, and he is joining us again this season doing the AAC scoreboard. So here's Jeff Allen.
In addition to UCF's big win over Boise, here's how the rest of the Americans shook out. On Thursday, East Carolina was defeated by Appalachian State 33-19. Tulsa lost to FCS UC Davis 19-17. And South Florida whitewashed by North Carolina State 45-0. On the Saturday slate, game rescheduled from Thursday, Temple was blown out by Rutgers 61-14. Tulane fierce rally becomes up short against Oklahoma 40-35. That game moved from New Orleans to Norman because of after effects of Hurricane Ida. Cincinnati keeps the victory bell, blowing out Miami 49-14. Navy fell victim to Marshall 49-7. Houston blew a 2-touchdown lead, losing to Texas Tech 38-21. Memphis with a big rout over Nichols 42-17. And SMU whipped up on Abilene Christian 56-9. Tanner Mordecai with a school record 7 touchdown passes. We will recap those games, get you set for week 2, and talk about how the Big 12 expansion impacts the American. I'm Jeff Allen. Join me for this week's AAC report only on the Knightline Sports Network.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Really appreciate that. I'm not sad at all by how the American did not do very well this week. Kind of happy to hear some of those scores, actually, especially that one against the Cows. Let's hear from Kyle Israel real quick, and then we will come back and we will talk about the Big 12. All right, please welcome back our very good friend, Kyle Israel. Kyle, man, it has been for freaking ever since I've talked to you.
It's been a really long time, Andrew. And like I said earlier, I feel like I've had that conversation with a lot of people, but the good thing about football season is, for me at least, I'm able to reconnect with a lot of people that I value. So glad that we were able to get together today and talk a little UCF football.
Absolutely. Well, it was a heck of a game. Dylan Gabriel did not start off the night good. Wound up being 25 of 37 for 318 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. What did you think of his performance?
Well, I thought that he was extremely resilient and showed a lot of great leadership. When you start a game, driving down the field and you've had a 3-hour delay and you throw a 100-yard pick six, I mean, there's not many other things in a game that can swing momentum more than that type of scenario. I did something like that myself against UTEP in 2007 in a final home game, and we were able to bounce back. But I thought that with what we saw there and how he bounced back to that, obviously it took us a little while to get going, but I saw a lot of things that I really loved out of Dylan. I think he was as advertised. Some of the touchdown throws that he had were money, very difficult throws that he makes look easy. And I thought that you saw him get more comfortable and settle in as the game went on, and leverage the running game to set other things up in the passing game. So I was very impressed with Dylan. I think that he'll continue to improve. He'll get better each and every week, in my opinion, as they get more comfortable in this offense and he starts to really be able to anticipate the type of plays and when the plays are going to be called from Coach Malzahn. So, I was happy with what I saw, and I felt for him there early, but he was able to get some momentum going again there in the second quarter.
Were you worried, knowing what you know about him and have watched him for the last 3 years, were you worried that he would not be able to get it together and come back out and make plays?
I wasn't really worried, and it's because I could see that we were really trying to at least establish the running game there early. And so I think that, I didn't know what to expect of Bowser. I know you've been saying a lot of great things about him for a long time, but I was less worried when I knew that it wasn't going to be all on Dylan's shoulder. And not to say that that's how it was in the past, because we have these big rushing statistics that we see in the past with Coach Heupel's offense, but it was more of an intentional, balanced, settled running game that we were trying to establish. And I felt like if we could do that, then Dylan would have the opportunity to bounce back and pick his spots. And in the past, I feel like maybe he's felt as though everything was on his shoulders, and that forces you to press a little bit. So, no, I wasn't worried, but, I was there in real time, excited to find out how he would handle it, and was pleased with what I saw.
All right, Roger, you got something for Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of build off of what you were talking about, 247 Sports did a really great article that kind of led up to the game and walked through all of those different parts and pieces and how the preparation went and all that. And one of the things that Dylan had mentioned, which I'm interested on your take on, is in Heupel's offense, basically he had certain routes that were going to materialize, but he had the ability to pick and choose and lead the receivers in flight. So he lined up. It isn't as there aren't specific plays where people are doing specific things, but he has to improvise more. And he felt like he was more prepared for this game than any other game that he's ever played, and felt more comfortable because he knew what he needed to do, step one, what his checks were, etc. So talk a little bit about that and playing in an offense where it's really up to you to figure out what the receivers are going to do. They have certain options that they have, and you've got to adjust to the receiver versus having a set play and knowing where your guys are going to be.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest area that comes to mind initially is timing. And how long does it take to get rid of the football? And I think that we saw in the past, the way that Dylan stood in the pocket and at times was almost patting the football. If you're waiting for a receiver to break out, you can anticipate based on the coverage, if you're on the same page, where he's going to go. But if there's any doubt, you end up holding the ball longer. And so I think naturally when you have a progression that's built in and it's very clear and understood before the ball snapped, it allows you to be more confident in your job, more confident in your pocket awareness, and ultimately have better timing. And I feel like we saw that. He moved well in the pocket the other night when he did have some pressure, extended plays. He did a lot of damage with his feet. It was almost like a jab that he kept hitting Boise there with for a while that, I think that they were getting tired of just watching him baseball slide right in front of them for 8, 12, 15-yard gains. But it was very effective. And so I think that Coach Malzahn having more structure, having a more balanced tempo, understanding, at least from what I could tell in that game specifically, understanding, time of possession, when to speed it up, when to slow it down. I really think that all those things will help Dylan, but it is very challenging. You have to be very, very in sync with your receivers and confident in them and them and you. If the offense is based off, route progression based on coverage where everybody's kind of silently hoping to end up on the same page, that's a tough setting to play in. It can be deadly if you're extremely precise, and we saw games where everybody was on the same page. But it can create challenges for the offensive line and for yourself if that's not the case.
Right. Well, we've talked a little bit in the past about what we thought of different coaches' coaching skills. Definitely Heupel over the years, and even Scott Frost, and even O'Leary before that we were talking about. What did you think of the debut of Gus and his style of playing? And, I mean, he obviously changed things up a little bit because of Dylan. Than what he would normally do, but what did you think of the way that he called plays and his game plan?
Well, I think he did an incredible job. I mean, to get down 21-0, you get uppercutted like that, you're kind of wobbly for a little while. Your legs are wobbly, and I think that he, although at times appearing frantic on the sidelines, once I went back and watched it on television, I think he just did a really, really good job of keeping the team focused and staying engaged in the game. I mean, I haven't seen O'Leary, Frost, Heupel. None of them have the type of mannerisms and energy that Coach Malzahn does on the sideline. It's extremely unique, and I think that type of energy helped when you got down 21-0. But I think I saw a stat where that was one of the largest come from behind wins in Coach Malzahn's career. So I'm sure he's super excited about how they were able to turn that around. But from offensive play calling to schemes it's so difficult to even watch for me and decipher in real time from the stadium all of the motions and change of formations pre-snap. And there's just a lot to it, and he keeps you guessing constantly. A defensive coordinator has got to be going crazy trying to make sure they're balanced and sound when an offense is moving in and out of certain formations pre-snap, as much as we do with motions out of the backfield to the wide receiver position, from the wide receiver back into the backfield. I was very impressed with the dynamics of the play calling, and I think that he called some good, timely shot opportunities down the field with Dylan. You didn't see that constant seeking of the deep ball. I think he was kind of looking for it early, but I was very impressed with Coach Malzahn. I think it was a great first game. When you come back from a 21-point deficit, it says a lot about your team and your coaching staff, and I'm very pleased with how it ended up and with what I saw. And to face adversity like that in your first game, I can't tell you how much momentum that team has going into this week's game and the games after.
Yeah, 48 attempts rushing. Most of those being 33 of those being for Isaiah Bowser. What did you think of him? You mentioned him a little bit earlier.
Well, I was very impressed. I thought that he's a back that we haven't really had for a long time, size wise. I think back to some Storm Johnson, some Latavius Murray, but Bowser is a different back in the fact that at 225. He's just very consistent. He didn't get winded. I was expecting him to go out of the game at times, and it was almost like Kevin Smith was back there. He wasn't leaving the field, and we were giving him the rock. And I think that he's a punishing guy that wears you out. I think he wore Boise out throughout the course of the game, and I think that I want to keep him healthy at the same time.
Yeah,
and so. I hope that the other backs will get their opportunities, and Coach will continue to, as he will, manage his touches, but he was definitely a game changer for us. My concern throughout the season, and we'll keep up to speed on it, is can he stay healthy taking a beating like that week in and week out?
To me, what was interesting, you'd mentioned how well Dylan did when he was under pressure. I was looking at the PFF stats, and it looks like he was actually more efficient when he was under pressure, or specifically when he was blitzed, than when he wasn't. And what do you account that? What do you think accounts for that? Like, why would he? I have my own theory, but I'm interested in hearing yours.
Well, why is he more successful when he has pressure and when the other team is blitzing?
Yes.
Well, I think that goes back to what we were just talking about, which is the scheme of the offense. We clearly had a lot of plays that had outlet routes that had guys dragging and trailing across the field. Last year and the years before with Coach Heupel was a lot more vertical of a passing game. And I think when you have pressure and can step up and move sideline to sideline, the scheme's built in so that, there's guys that are going to be there and that you can go to. Getting out of rhythm really turns into another synchronization of the receivers and the quarterback kind of moving to the next level of the field. So I think that's one of the reasons. Secondly, I think it's another year of maturation. Naturally, when you see pressures, when you see defenses doing different things, you get more comfortable throwing on the run or moving up in the pocket and making plays. And I think more so that it has to do with the scheme and the number of players that were able to find open spots, but that weren't 22, 25, 30 yards down the field. They were still 6 to 14 yards down the field, and that's a throw you can make on the run consistently.
All right, let's talk about the wide receivers a little bit. Let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people catch passes. 8 different people catch at least, the 8th, Jake Hedscock, did not catch one at all. But so 7 people caught passes from Dylan Gabriel in this whole thing. A couple of them being running backs as well, tight ends. But what did you think of the receiving side of the game?
Well, I think that it's something that is going to actually get a lot better throughout the season. I mean, guys went up and made plays when they needed to. I think that they did a really good job at times of blocking down the field for Bowser when he was able to break through, which is a critical piece that you want to see in a receiving core. But I still think that we're going to see more and more of what they have to offer as the season goes on. I think Ryan O'Keefe will have big plays throughout the season, maybe not as consistently as some of the other guys, but overall, I think we can be extremely talented, and certainly the catches that we were able to make, that Flash was able to make for a touchdown, in traffic, holding onto that ball, the corner route that he caught where the corner folded back on him and busted him in the face. I mean, we were just very tough at times that we needed to be tough, and I was impressed. But I think that unit will continue to progress. And we'll see more and more guys add value throughout the course of the season.
So something that is always important as you go through the season, especially when you have a new coach and new guys, is what you learn, right? So if you were to put yourself in Gus Malzahn's shoes, what did you learn from this week, and what would you be working on next week?
Well, I learned that my team can be really disciplined, and you have to be disciplined defensively, offensively, to win games when you're down like that, to win games, period, but when you're down like that. And I think if we think back to the last couple of years, discipline, penalties, those types of things, have been haunting at times. And we were a very disciplined football team. So I would be very excited about what I saw in that regards, and my team's willingness to engage late into the morning, early mornings, in a very close game and not give up. Secondly, I think if I'm looking to improve anything, we want to improve in the kicking game. That's an area that I think, from a punting perspective, we can consistently do better at. And secondly, it's just getting out to a fast start. Obviously, we know what unfolded. You can't predict a pick six like that. but you definitely don't want to play from behind every week, and you don't want to feel as though you get comfortable playing from behind if you have to. I think that overall there's a lot to be happy about for Coach Malzahn in this case, but you got to continue to pursue to get better, and I think that I'd be working on, and he is working on, continuing the install of the offense and working to tighten up the defense in some areas that were really good and in areas where there was improvement that can be made.
Well, I
know that was a very broad answer, but there's a lot to be happy about with how the team ended up playing in that game.
Absolutely, yeah. You spoke about the offense or the defense a little bit there. What did you think overall about the defense?
Well, I thought that we made adjustments, right? I think offensively and defensively made adjustments, which showed, especially with the pressure that we were able to bring and put on Boise State in the second half. I think the defense, I said it to somebody in the last couple of days, to win a game when you're down 21-0, the defense almost has to play flawless football through the rest of the game, and they stepped up and did that. Really in critical moments, creating 3 and outs. They were able to stop the run in that game when we needed to stop the run, and all the good teams that we've had in the past here, or many of them, have been able to stop the run in critical moments, and our defense was able to do that the other night. So I think that we'll continue to get better in the defensive passing game. I think at times it felt like our guys were soft. It looked like they were soft at the cornerback positions, and I think that guys will continue to get looks in the defensive backfield, and that they'll continue to improve. But overall, to step up when you had to step up, to create pressure like they were able to, and to get off the field, to create 3 and out scenarios so our offense could get some momentum going and get the fans back in the game. We're a much improved defense than what we saw last year.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. We held them to 20 yards rushing for the entire game. I mean, that's a pretty stout rushing defense. They didn't rush as much, obviously, as they passed, but still, 20 yards. Those are gaudy numbers.
You're going to win a lot of football games when you hold another team to 20 yards rushing. And again, I think what was more impressive is they did it when they absolutely had to. We couldn't allow Boise to establish the running game in the second quarter and then going into the second half, and they weren't able to do that, and that had to take place for us to win that game the way that it unfolded early. So it's even more impressive that they did it in that circumstance.
Yeah, they had 26 rushing attempts for 20 yards, so that's 0.8 average per rush, which is insane. That's crazy.
It's incredible.
So going back, you'd mentioned the defensive backs. That's actually where I wanted to take you next. They were playing off the ball, it seemed like, in the first half quite a bit, or off the player. They gave him 10-yard cushions at least. How would you evaluate their performance? Because it seemed like the receivers were getting loose early and often in the first half, and then in the second half they played a lot tighter, press man coverage, which in my opinion is what they should have been doing to begin with, to give the defensive line some time to get to the quarterback. So, knowing that was an area we were all concerned about, what's your evaluation of them and their performance?
Well, I think that there's going to be improvement that needs to continue to be made in the defensive secondary. I think everybody knows that. There's talent there. But, when they were forced to get up and play man coverage and press, and obviously it's the first game, and you typically see teams play off more at the beginning of the season when you're trying to figure out, what is this team actually going to come out and do based on what we've been seeing on film for the last 3 or 4 months. And I think that when it was necessary for us to start applying pressure in the blitz game, it forces naturally, based on coverage mechanics, for the defensive backs to come up and play man coverage. And so I think that a lot of the pressure that we saw up front on Boise's quarterback allowed our defensive backs to play a little more free and comfortable later in the game. But certainly you can't continue to give up that type of cushion and such ease of completions that we saw early in the football game and stay successful. And I think that, without knowing, completely the defensive back room. I think that they're going to look to still improve those positions and give guys chances to see the field and prove that they deserve to be on the field and starting the games.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a much different game that Gus Malzahn plays versus Heupel or Frost. It goes back a little bit to the George O'Leary years of old school football, where time of possession is important and things like that. We won the time of possession by almost 10 minutes in this game, which we haven't seen in a long time with the speed thing. How much of a difference does that make? I mean, it obviously makes a big difference when it's Gus Malzahn.
Well, it's the synchrony of the time of possession. I mean, if you watch the offense, there were possessions where the offense was moving quickly in and out of plays, going no huddle, and then at times slowing it down. And I think that's what was really impressive is, even under a pressure circumstance of knowing you've got to score points, we were able to do the things we needed to do to establish a lead in the time of possession, to keep the defense off balance and use an up-tempo style when it was appropriate, to slow things down and use more clock and give our defense a rest, which I think had a big impact. Some of the rest that they got in a few series there really helped them go out and be successful. So it was the overall management of the time, when to press, when to lay off, when to keep a natural flow, that I think was stuck out to me the most. And, you expect a guy like Gus Malzahn with his style, he thinks very detailed about those types of things. He's like a conductor of an orchestra with how he's calling plays, with how he's tempoing the game, with how he's communicating with players and coaches on the sideline. It's really fun to watch. I look forward to seeing more unfold. And overall, I think he looked like he was really enjoying himself. A bit of stress there early. But I bet you he was tired on Friday morning when he woke up, not just because of the time of the game, but just because how much energy he used coaching that football game.
Yeah, he definitely does, and you can't tell that when you're in the stadium. I mean, I stood at the very top of the stadium most of the evening just so I could see the entire field and just seeing how, from the top down, seeing how things played out. But rewatching it and seeing, when they would pan to him, he always has used a lot of energy, but he really looked like he had a lot of energy and was having a great time out there. And he said in his press conference that he had a blast. So that was nice to see. Do you think that they handled his complicated offense well? I mean, the offensive line seemed to most of the time.
Yeah, I think that they did. And I think that, at times there were possessions where guys were maybe out of position or out of sync a little bit here or there, wide receivers or running backs. But when you think of the overall flow, substitutions, getting different looks in and out, personnel groupings in and out of the game, and you even look at the success that we had even on that initial drive. I thought it was the players played really well. We had some unfortunate penalties that we'd like to have back, that I think will get better. But overall, I was impressed with how the team took to his coaching from a schematic perspective, but took to his leadership as well. And you could kind of see that had matriculated into the players.
So, we mentioned the time of possession offset. I think really that helped us offset some of the turnovers by owning that time of possession. When I was watching them, I was thinking the play calling, the way we set things up, the defenses, et cetera, they were all set up very SEC-like, which is what we would expect given where he came from. But Cincinnati also plays that way. So what do you expect when we start playing that style of offense and defense versus a team like Cincinnati?
Well, I mean, Cincinnati's going to come down to coaching. they have a fantastic coaching staff, and obviously they lost their defensive coordinator. But teams like Cincinnati win, number one, because they don't beat themselves. Number two, because they control the game. It's because they have great coaching. And so it will be, we're going to be focused on the field and the players and the plays being made. But when we go up against a Cincinnati, the coaching battle, the scheme battles, I think will be very intriguing. You may have to go back and watch the game again to see everything stick out. But that's what I think of when I think of some of these other teams later in the year, like a Cincy, is that we in the past, I believe they had the advantage from a coaching perspective, but I think we've evened that or taken the lead, from a very biased bystander. But I think that it definitely will allow us to establish a toughness, establish a running game that balances what we saw with Cincinnati as well. I don't know that we're going to see these 14 and 21 points jump down your throat and then kind of try to make it through the rest of the game. But I feel much more confident about our chances against Cincinnati with all the returners that they have based on how this game was coached Thursday night.
Absolutely. Well, if you don't have anything more to add, I don't want to take any more of your time. It's been great to have you back. Do you want to tell us at all about what you've been doing?
Well, with Nestry, I appreciate that question. I can speak to it really quick. Nestry, we're a neurostrength company, and so we've been in the development of our app here for the last couple of months, and we'll continue. And we're a neurostrength company that develops solutions through tech to strengthen both the mind and the brain, like a personal trainer for the neck up. And so we are out here in Lake Nona, and definitely a startup, but have had some great success over the last 2 years. And one of our investors just got inducted into the Hall of Fame this summer, in Calvin Johnson, which we're super excited about for him. But as we get further into the season, that's going right into the timeline that some of our products will be released. So I'll certainly talk to them each and every week. But you can find out more about what we're doing at nestryperformance.com. It's fascinating work, very timely work, with the pandemic, with some of the mental and cognitive challenges that the world and each individual is facing today. And we're excited about providing solutions to help in that area.
Awesome. All right, man. Awesome as well to have you back. Look forward to talking to you next week. And as always, thank you very much for your insight.
Absolutely. Glad that we're getting back in the saddle a little bit, and looks like, based on what we saw Thursday night, that we have an exciting season ahead of us, and looking forward to talking about it every week.
All righty. Take it easy. Thank you very much.
Sounds good, guys.
All right. A lot of weird noises in that.
Man.
We will work on that. That's, it happens sometimes. Sometimes everything cannot be always controlled in a studio environment, so it is what it is. Any guesses on what those sounds are, though, I'll be happy to entertain. So, all right. The next biggest thing, which...
really, long term, it is the biggest thing.
It is. So let's talk about it. UCF seemingly has an offer to join the Big 12, which is absolutely awesome and huge. I've already said my issues with that. I'm extremely excited. I really am. I just, I'm not going to go into it again, I don't think. But I know you're excited about it, so I'm going to let you talk, and I'll interject.
Okay.
I'm going to let you lead this conversation.
Well, I am excited as a longtime UCF fan and alum, and Andrew, you've been on this journey with us for quite a while, so you know what the whole fight for not only relevancy but respect, and just people giving us our just due for all the good things that we've done.
It's about time.
Yeah.
It's really about time.
Yeah. It's been very easy for people to just say, I've heard this at work from SEC fans. Oh, you're playing high school teams or whatever, whatever joke it is. Right. And, at the end of the day, what this represents for UCF, it's not quite that we've made it, but it gives us the opportunity to make it.
I don't know that it doesn't represent that we've made it. And I'm going to say we, because it's still a we.
Yeah.
I think that it does represent that we've made it. We've made it into a Power 5 conference finally. So I'm going to disagree wholeheartedly with you.
Well, that's okay. I just think that
it's not done yet.
No.
And I am extremely cautious with these things just because I've been disappointed before. We've all been disappointed before.
You're
when
such
we
a UCF
thought
fan
that,
now.
Exactly. When we thought that these things were going to happen, or we heard that things were going to happen, we were so convinced before that we were going to the Big 12, I think.
Well, I think what's changed, honestly, the 2016...
The landscape of college football is what's changed.
Well, yes, and I think that in 2016, when all of that was going down, we were coming off an 0-12 season, so it wasn't necessarily the right time for us anyway at that time to put our best foot forward. But... one of the things that's come out recently is with these additions, it's expected that the Big 12 will retain its Power 5, Autonomy 5 status, which will be a great thing for UCF. We won't know what the money situation is for the next contract, but it's been estimated that we're going to be sitting at around 18 to 19 million per school as we come in, which on average, there's been about a $7 million payout, so 18 to 19 million per school is a big deal for us. Additionally, when you're talking about the playoff access, it looks like the playoffs being pushed back for a while as these politics with the move of OU and UT have kind of taken hold. And this gives us the opportunity for, no matter how long that this takes for the playoff to be expanded, at least we'll have an opportunity to get into one of the final four teams and a guaranteed slot. So, even if this is a short-term view and we're just looking from now until 2025, all those things are positive. There's no negatives. And then if at some point there's more consolidation, which a lot of people believe once the next round of contracts come up, if that happens, we've got from 2020, well, really now until 2025, to show that we deserve to be on one of those conferences and make the cut if they do further consolidation. So for me, I don't see any negatives around doing that. We're already in a conference where everybody wants to get the hell out of Dodge and would take the first ticket out. So there's no consolidation. I think the big thing for the schools that are left over is that they don't have a way out. They've already been through the process and been vetted. So it could be that 2 or 3 years from now, a few will be picked off. But hey, we've got Memphis or Boise that we could bring in to replace some of those. So I think there wouldn't be any major losses. I don't think Baylor's going anywhere either way. I don't think TCU would go anyway. Maybe OSU that you would potentially lose. So for me, there's no negatives when it comes to that.
Yeah, well, I think some of those founding members, I don't see a lot of the founding members going anywhere. I think you said at one point that Texas has kind of been I don't know if it was I get confused on what's on the radio show and what's on this, but I know we talked about Texas kind of being the problem child of the whole thing, and they have been the entire time in the Big 12. It's what's caused most of the tension in the Big 12. So hopefully with them going, the Big 12 can be more stable and have teams want to stick back around. And I think with adding 4 teams, I believe that's going to take it back to 12, even with them Oklahoma and Texas leaving, right? Or does
it's
it go
going to take
back
it to
10?
14 when they add, and then when they leave,
right,
it'll be 12.
Right.
Yep.
So that's a good thing for the Big 12. There are some interesting things with the Big 12, though, that UCF is going to have to deal with. I don't think all of our sports are going to be able to go to the Big 12 because the Big 12 does not have men's soccer.
Correct.
The Big 12... I'm trying to get to the thing where Big 12 has a few teams that wrestle, so there is maybe an opportunity to have a wrestling team. Indoor men's and women's indoor and outdoor track, which we don't have a men's track team, which I've heard a lot of people for years clamoring about that because that would help football as far as that goes. Big 12
sport athletes.
Big 12 does have equestrian, so we may have to have a horse team.
Well, we have horses.
Swimming and diving. I mean, it's definitely a different conference, but West Virginia is actually moving their men's soccer team to Conference USA in 2022. They're one of the only ones that has a men's soccer team, and I can't remember who they play what division or what conference they play in right now.
I don't know, but when we were in Conference USA, we had UF in our conference, and there was another one as well for men's soccer.
Yeah, there's always affiliate members that do things. There's a bunch of affiliate members in the Big 12 for wrestling. Air Force, Missouri, North Dakota State, Northern Colorado, Northern Iowa, South Dakota State, Utah Valley, and Wyoming, and coming soon, California Baptist. Those are all the teams that are affiliate members as far as wrestling goes in the Big 12. So there's quite a few things like that. And there are affiliate members on the women's side as well for rowing, Alabama, Denver, University of Denver in gymnastics in the Big 12. Fresno State in equestrian, and Tennessee also in rowing for women's athletes. So there's quite a bit of stuff that is there, and I don't know how that's all going to work out, but I'm sure it will. The other thing is football stadiums. I would think that UCF needs to make a plan, and I don't know if Terry Mahajer's plan as far as the football stadium, what he wanted to do with it is still relevant. I think that they would want to go with a much added capacity with the teams that we will be playing. I don't think that we will be playing a lot of these smaller Bethune-Cookmans, maybe Bethune-Cookman just because of the distance
proximity
and everything else. Yeah, but most of the teams that you're going to be seeing are going to be Power 5 teams as well. And I think getting these one-on-ones with Power 5 teams now is not going to be a problem. Once you're in
especially
the Big 12.
with BYU getting ready to open up 8 of their schedule, right? So if they jump in next year, all of those folks that they had contracts with, they've got to replace them with conference games.
And we've also got some issues with that as well. So that will be a little bit of a difference. The other thing that I've always thought, and going back to the conversations from Jeff Sharon the last time that this happened, we talked a lot about the endowment issue. And our endowment compared to the rest of the Big 12 is extremely, extremely small. We will be by far the lowest one as far as that goes. We will be the largest school, though, by enrollment.
By a wide margin.
Yes, by pretty big. The next biggest one would be Texas Tech that has 40,000. So when we're at like 70,000, their endowment, though, is probably 3 to 4, maybe even 10 times ours. So I believe ours, and I'm going to have to find it if you want to go ahead and talk about something.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge for football. It's also huge for basketball, right? The Big 12 is a huge basketball conference.
Absolutely.
They're one of the best in the nation. And, now you're adding Houston to that. You're adding Cincinnati to that. That's going to only help push us over the mark. And also, it helps with tourney credits. So you bring 2 good basketball schools in. You've got all these other basketball schools. The better they do in the tourney, the more money we get. So that's going to be a side effect that'll also help us, to your point about the stadium. What this does, if we sign that agreement, they can now go back and borrow money, and money is the cheapest that it has been in a very, very long time. So construction is up, but money is down, which means that, when we're looking at these larger products, it's cheaper for us to pay them, and we can go and get these bonds while the money is at a low rate, even if we're going to use it further in the future. So I think, good timing for any large capital expenditures when it comes to stadium expansion. And I do believe, we do need to look at 55 to 65,000, somewhere around there.
Okay, so as far as the endowment thing goes, ours is 162.9 million. The lowest in the Big 12 is 5 times what ours is. Almost 5 times. 510.3 million for the university, the Kansas State University, which is pretty mind-blowing, to be honest with you. But you have to remember that these schools were founded a long, long time. So UCF is extremely young compared to all of these institutions. University of Kansas, I believe, would be, let me see if that's the oldest one or not. Oklahoma State, actually, I believe, would be the older one. 18. No, that's not right. I'm doing that backwards. Well, anyway, University of Kansas was founded in 1865. So, Kansas State, 1863. Oklahoma State, 1890. TCU, 1873. Texas Tech, 1923, would be the only one, I believe, that was in the in the 19s.
We will be the youngest P5 school that exists.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Right? It used to be I don't remember if it was FSU or Miami, but one of the two. But it's now us. So, and as far as the endowment is concerned, there's a lot of reasons for that. We were trading, money for research for buildings on campus to be able to grow. That was a John C. Hitt thing. On top of that, we've got the medical school now that'll start paying dividends on their research. So it'll only get better. And, the relationships we build with those other schools will help us as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Money from athletics does a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a lot of things that this helps out, not only with recruiting and facilities and all that stuff, but getting in with all the rest of that stuff. I believe that UCF would definitely have the smallest capacity in the stadium, is why I mentioned that. Baylor is just a little bit higher with 45,140 in their stadium. The bounce house right now, the way that it's configured, is 44,206. So
there's another 45,000 seat stadium in there too. I don't remember if it's TCU.
TCU's is 47,000. Kansas is 47,000. Kansas State's 50,000. Oklahoma State is 55,000. West Virginia is 60,000. Texas Tech is 60,862. Iowa State's 61,500. And then Oklahoma and Texas are much larger than that, but they're the ones that are leaving.
47. Okay.
And then even once you get into the basketball arena, this is another thing that needs to be upgraded as far as size at some point. Because when you have Kansas coming to play basketball, there's going to be a lot of fans that come that are not just the UCF fans that go to basketball games and stuff like that. So it's going to make a huge difference. Ours is not I think our seat's right around 10,000. I'll have to look at that.
It's 9 and change.
TCU has a really small one, 6,700. It's super small. And then Baylor's 10,284. The largest one would be Kansas with the members that are staying at 16,300. So, and then basketball, baseball stadiums and everything else. Baseball's big in the Big 12. So, a lot of that money can go to facilities, which will be huge. So, yeah, there's a lot to do, I think. If I was UCF and Terry Mahajer, I would be doing some major
well, he's got a blank slate. We know we can survive off of what we have because of the student fees that we have, but a lot of that money, if anyone was thinking that some of that's going to go down, it's not. The cost for tickets are going to go up.
Absolutely.
So, you're now playing Power 5 level schools. The entertainment's value is higher, so you're going to pay more. So get used to that. But that's the cost of being a big program. That requires investment from the people that have built it, and we are the ones that have built it with our donations and everything else, and we'll continue to do that.
Yeah, and you got to think that donations would go up as well.
Yeah.
During all this, just because, to be on par as far as facilities go, you'll have to make some investments, and luckily we have a guy like Terry Mahajer who I think is very good at getting people to invest and getting people to donate for sure. So
absolutely. And the other thing, just going through this list here, we've got a 9 conference game schedule. So word is that so far that the Big 12 wants to keep the 9 conference game schedule, so that'll affect us on our out-of-conference scheduling a little bit. Another thing, when you're talking about hoops, Baylor women's hoops is one of the best in the country. Our women's teams, our basketball team from a men's team and the women's
Baylor
team
was the national champion in men's basketball last year. So,
I know, and they were national championship in women's a couple of years ago. So when it comes to basketball, it's going to elevate both of those teams and our ability to recruit. It's not just football that this helps. It's everything.
And we'll have to see. I would assume that all of our sports that were included there would go into the Big 12. We'll have to see though if that's how it all works out. I would think that most of the sports would definitely go in there. Baylor was the national champs in women's basketball 2005, 2012, and 2019. So
the rest of the time it was UConn.
Pretty much. Well, this is now I'm looking at the Big 12 Wikipedia article to get this stuff. Now the Big 12 conference kind of started over as far as their championships and stuff like that when the Big 12 changed from the Big 8, but it's still the same, group of people and stuff like that run it. So it's just there's a lot more history in there that is there, and I think that learning history of your conference and your opponents and all that stuff is one of the fun things about going to a well-established conference. You know what I'm saying? Because these schools have been doing athletics for a long, long time. So there's a lot of history when it comes to all that stuff.
So the other thing, too, when we're talking about leveling things up, bowl tie-ins is another area that, not a lot of people are talking about. But we're now talking about the Sugar Bowl versus the SEC, the Valera Bowl versus the Pac-12, the Cheez-It Bowl versus the ACC, the Macari Texas Bowl versus the SEC, Liberty, again, we had that one, lost that one, versus the SEC, Guaranteed Rate versus the Big Ten, the Armed Forces and First Responders are TBD, they pair the best ones together, but the point is that's a hell of a lot better bowl lineup than what we've had in the past and should make for a lot more fun matchups for us to go to as well.
Yeah, the one in Orlando always has a Big 12
Cheez-It
team. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that Guaranteed Rate Bowl here it says is against the ACC. I'm not sure if that's changed. Maybe it's changed and this is wrong. You never know with Wikipedia sometimes. That's where I'm reading it, But yeah, who do you think would be with these teams that they're adding? I guess our natural rival would be Cincinnati, which is kind of exciting personally.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us, have been clamoring for that for years. I think, was it you or Ben? One of you guys has been on that bandwagon for a long time.
That was me.
Was it you? Okay. Of having Cincinnati as our rival.
Yeah, I think they should be. I know that their natural rival is West Virginia. They have a long history with them. We have history with Houston as well.
We have history with Houston.
So it may end up being Houston for that rivalry, but I would aspirationally like it to be Cincy, not necessarily from a football perspective, but from a basketball perspective. So from a football perspective, I'd love to start something up with West Virginia, but with Cincy having history with West Virginia, it's just I don't think that's going to happen.
I think Houston has a far. Who did they just play?
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. Yeah, they've played that game like hundreds of times over the years. So I think that would be their natural rival. So it might be interesting. Hopefully, man. And see, this is what like drives me crazy. Like, one of our rivalries could be with Kansas. You never know in something, and that does not make me happy.
Well, like, for us to be a rival with Kansas on basketball front, we got to level up.
No, for sure.
That's that.
Totally, for sure. Not with football, though. I mean, man.
Football would not be a good day for Kansas right now.
No, our football rival in the thing is definitely Kansas State, and that's. We have the Governor's Cup or the Sunflower Showdown in Kansas for.
I'm just thinking about the civil conflict trophy right now.
There's got to be something there. I mean, there's huge rivalries that have been going on for years in a conference, and they have trophy games and all kinds of stuff. I mean, so. There's still the TCU Texas Tech one, the West Texas Championship, the Saddle Trophy. And then what else would be left? The Sunflower Showdown, which is the Governor's Cup.
Red River Rivalry goes away.
Red River Rivalry goes away. And then there's Baylor and Texas Tech have one as well. TCU and Tech, I already talked about that one. Yeah, the Oklahoma State Bedlam thing goes away as well. And the Red River Showdown, yeah. So it'll be interesting. Iowa State and Kansas State have Farmageddon, is what they call it. Yeah, because those are both very big agricultural schools. And speaking of, I said agricultural, but cultural things as well. It's going to be cool though to be in a conference that has a rich history, even though they've had some instability. So
let me throw this at you. Just a couple of quick stats, and then I think we just go through the timeline and then move on. But right now, some people have done some math to see where the new Big 12 would rank. Number one, currently constructed, they would be 9-1, which would be the top out of conference record in the entire country of all of the different conferences. In addition to that, via the Sarragan rating, Big 12 actually would rank higher now as currently constructed than the Pac-12 and the ACC, and also all dating back to 2017, they would also rank higher with the 4 additions that we have, because Texas wasn't doing anybody any favors, folks. I mean, it's Texas, but Texas has sucked for a long time.
Yeah.
They've been back for the past 25 years and haven't been back. So, as a football conference, which is what the stated goal was for the Big 12, this is a huge, huge step up for them as far as the rankings and putting them above the Pac-12 and the ACC as far as football is concerned.
Okay, well, that's great. I mean, that's awesome if that's how it turns out to be. And I mean, and that is awesome for UCF. I think that the addition of UCF is huge for the Big 12. I just, like I've said, my only worry is that the Big 12 remains a little bit more stable. But I guess they are taking big action. You know what I'm saying? They're taking huge action. They're getting back to 12. They're doing this fast. They've already researched all these people because before schools, I say people, but they're schools, because of last time almost adding schools. So the hard work, I think, had been done for a while, and they knew who they wanted to pick then. They just all of them didn't agree. But you're also, you're still going to have some blue blood schools in there that are going to be, I don't know, hopefully we will get on equal footing somehow, some way, someday with the rest of the
we
the
just
Big 12
earn it
schools.
if we earn it on the field and earn it for the Big 12 and continue.
I'm not
to do
talking
well.
about just in football. I'm talking
no,
about everything
but I'm just
else.
saying in general
when you're
because
a new member.
Yeah, I mean our women's soccer team has been ranked recently and done really well. Our volleyball team's traditionally good. Our golf team is traditionally good. So we've got some other sports that were our tennis team. I mean, think about our tennis team and what's building out there. So we're bringing other things to the conference. It's just a matter of time for us to get in there and win some things on their behalf. I mean, we finished, we supported the least amount of sports that you possibly can in the NCAA and still finished 57th in the Directors Cup, which is higher than P5 schools, folks.
It's true.
And we don't have anywhere near the number of sports. So
True.
We bring a lot to the table other than football. People just don't really think about it or aren't aware of it. Softball's another one that we've traditionally done well in. Baseball's taken a dive, I guess, recently, but we've played in a good conference and a really good baseball conference for a really long time. So
baseball and softball are good in the Big 12 as well. So
and we played Iowa State actually last year, the year before last, and Kennedy and I, my daughter, we went and watched an Iowa State versus UCF softball game. So I'm excited about that. And generally,
didn't our coach come from Iowa State?
No, Boise State.
She came from Boise, but maybe the one before that, somebody came from Iowa State. I don't know.
She went back to Iowa State.
She went back to Iowa State.
Yeah.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, lastly, let's talk a little bit. Again, this is all in flux, but the rumors right now is that UCF will formally apply for membership in the Big 12, which you don't apply unless you're in. On Monday, there is a meeting of the Big 12 presidents to, approve and extend official invitations to the four new members. And then there's a special. Now, here's the part I don't know. There's a special presser that was scheduled by Terry Mohadra for Wednesday, but subsequent to that, some of the national writers are saying that the announcement will be on Friday. So it'll be interesting to see when the timing of that is. Earliest on Wednesday, latest on Friday. But either way, when it happens, it will be a massive victory for UCF athletics.
Absolutely, 100%. So, like I said, I'm extremely excited, but I'm weary as well. So, good going for UCF. I think it's awesome. It pains me so much. It pains me so much to think my Kansas team.
You can wear your Kansas gear, and I'll wear my UCF gear when we go.
I'm such a huge fan of both. I know, and y'all, I'm sure, will get really tired of me talking about it. So, all right. Well, does that pretty much do our talking about this?
Yes, for this week.
Much for this week, yeah. There's a lot more to talk about, and there will be a lot more to talk about with this. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out with all the sports, and seeing, I think, we've been doing it with the minimum amount of teams, so there is a possibility of adding teams, different sports, so it's all going to be exciting. It's all going to be extremely exciting, and I'm excited. All right, we're going to be right back with the Tijuana Flats Hot Take of the Week and news and notes. If you haven't figured it out yet, I love Tijuana Flats. I would love them even if they weren't a partner with us on the Knightline Sports Network. They have all kinds of great Tex-Mex food, and it's fresh, by the way. Made to order burritos, tacos, enchiladas, chimichangas, quesadillas, bowls, nachos, and taco salads. And if you haven't tried the queso, you are completely missing out. It is the best queso that I've ever had in my life. Absolutely hands down. And the sauce bar that they have, everything from wild to mild in there. Absolutely awesome, awesome stuff. Not only do I love the food at Tijuana Flats, but I love the company, a UCF-born company. And they give back to the community with the Justin Queso Foundation. So head to your local Tijuana Flats. Tex-Mex for everyone. Hey, Jeep Wrangler owners, have you ever sat in your office at work and watched the rain just pour into your Jeep because the weatherman said that there was a 0 chance of rain? Or you put your doors back on because there was a 100% chance and then not a drop of rain fell? Well, there's a company out there that can help take the worry away and give you the peace of mind to be without your doors. The company's called Life Without Doors. They make waterproof rain curtains and dash covers for Wranglers. Life Without Doors is there to help make the decision to leave the doors at home an easy one. Find out more at lifewithoutdoors.com.
Spice up your company with homemade marketing services from Tasty Gravy Creative. Tasty Gravy serves up a menu of budget-friendly marketing, graphic design, and public relations services customized to your specific goals. Co-owned by a UCF graduate, Tasty Gravy can help refresh your brand, strengthen your online presence, or reinforce your company's message. Contact Tasty Gravy for help with your website, social media, marketing, advertising materials, and more. Visit tastygravy.com.
Welcome to the Tijuana Flats Hot Take of the Week. Visit TijuanaFlats.com for takeout or delivery, or visit your local Tijuana Flats. Tex-Mex for everyone. All right, we have kind of turned our Tijuana Flats Hot Take of the Week into our pick section because that's just kind of the way that it worked out on the radio show. We needed to do picks on there, and we needed to do Tijuana Flats, and we don't have hardly any time on there, so that is what it is. So that's what we're going to do with this segment from now on. So, Roger, we're going to do the same picks, I believe, that we did on the radio show. We're going to keep our picks, right?
Correct.
We're not changing it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not going to second guess
myself. This is for the Bethune game, by the way.
Yes, Bethune-Cookman that we will be playing on the 11th. I will be there. Super excited. So for my Tijuana Flats hot take of the week and pick of the week, I will say that UCF defeats Bethune-Cookman 52-14. This was one of our original rivals, believe it or not, since we were talking about rivals back when the program first started. And it was our first rivalry win. So super excited about that. I do think that we're going to be rotating our bench through in this game, which is why I gave them a couple of TDs there, because anytime you're doing that, there's an opportunity for folks to score. So I'm going to say 52-14. It's a solid win. It's a good way for us to get some of our rotation players in and out and get them some experience.
I'm going to raise it up a little bit of a notch here with some Tijuana Flats hot sauce, and I'm going to go 62-7. Because I think we need to make a statement in this one. This one is a lower tiered school, and we need to. I think we need to make a statement and make some of those pollsters look a little bit more at UCF. We had a close game against Boise, and this one we need to really, really stomp it into the ground if we possibly can. So 62-7 is my pick for Bethune-Cookman. And all right, we're going to be back with news and notes. And now, news and notes from the world of UCF sports. All right, UCF women's soccer, who are now 2-2, played and lost to Ohio State 2-4. They play Penn State. They're playing Penn State right now, actually, and are currently up 2-1. They play Ole Miss on Thursday at 7 p.m. Support the ladies if you can by watching them or going out there.
All right, and for me, it was a mixed bag for UCF volleyball again this week as they defeated Clemson 3-1. And lost both matches to South Carolina, 0-3 and 1-3. Next up, UCF hosts the UCF Invitational, which includes Florida Gulf Coast, FSU, and Georgia on Friday and Saturday. If you can make it, let's stop by and cheer on the ladies on Friday the 10th at 7:30 p.m. as they take on the Noles.
All right, and it's official. Night Nation season tickets have officially sold out.
It's official.
It's totally official, like 100%. That's awesome, though. Season tickets sold out is big, personally. So awesome. Looking forward to the game this weekend. This has been Knightline 262. I'm Andrew Phegley.
And I'm Roger Phipps. Go Knights!
Charge on.
UCF, charge on to the field. With our spirits, we'll never yield. Black and gold charge right through the line. Victory is our cry.